From the Schmoes Know Network Studios in Los Angeles, California, it's time for Marvel News from Marvel fans with your hosts, a veritable House of M, Meredith Placco, Matt Cook, and a superhero in his own daydream, Matt Key.
Hello, Schmoville! Welcome to Marvel News from Marvel fans, your home for the latest news and wild speculations from Marvel Studios, Sony, and 20th Century Fox. We're broadcasting to you, as always, from the Danger Room here in beautiful Los Angeles, California.
Yeah. Danger Room.
I am your host, Meredith Placco, and as always, joined by the long-lost clone of Peter Parker, Matt Cook.
Oh, sweet girl.
And our Crunch Wrap Sorcerer Supreme, Matthew Key.
Wait, did you call me Crunch Wrap?
Yes.
Dude.
I had Taco Bell for lunch.
Good for you.
Wow. I don't even know what Crunch Wrap Doctor Strange is.
He's the
Crunch Wrap
tastiest of Doctor Stranges.
Oh,
You missed it.
no, I didn't miss it. I just don't understand.
I kill for a Crunchwrap Supreme right now.
I know. If you guys have
Been
any
years. Go ahead, sorry.
If you guys have any questions for us throughout the week, make sure to find us on Twitter at Marvel Schmoes and hashtag Schmoville. Also, there's been some technical issues with our iTunes. I don't know if you guys have heard. So the Super Schmo himself, Christian, has told me that things are getting back to working order, but you guys may need to actually resubscribe to us on iTunes. And please, please, please make sure to rate us. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, you can always see us on YouTube on all the other Schmoes No shows at YouTube at SK Podcast. So we're going to start things off really quick today, jumping over to Sony Pictures, where we have some really exciting, amazing Spider-Man 3 news, as in Spider-Man 3 is being pushed back to 2018. Sony is pushing back the third installment of the Spider-Man franchise to 2018, and Sinister Six will take Spidey's 3 place, which could still leave an opening to see Spider-Man on the big screen within the next 2 years. Early reports claimed that the web-slinger wouldn't show up in the villain-centric film, but the bad guys are going to need someone to knock around. So it only makes sense to bring in Spider-Man for that role. The only other possibility is that Sony is bringing a female-centric film in 2017, so maybe they can have her in the Sinister Six movie to kind of introduce her as the new lead superhero. So I was curious, what do you guys think about that?
So wait, when is...
So
Spider-Man's coming out in 2018?
No, here, 2016 for Sinister Six, 2017 for the untitled female leading Spider-Verse film, and then 2018 now for Amazing Spider-Man 3.
And they haven't said who they're thinking of for the female?
I mean, everyone seems to think it's going to be Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew.
Right.
But that's just kind of the safe bet.
But Sony doesn't have the rights to her. She's more of an Avenger than she is a Spider-Man property.
Yeah, so it leaves it open for a lot of talk, and we do know there's...
Oh, go ahead.
We know there's going to be a Venom Carnage film as well, so,
Well, when is the Venom Carnage film coming out? Do we know that? Because maybe that's going to be the guy that the Sinister Six fights.
So, that's what I'm asking you guys.
I don't know. I think, in Amazing Spider-Man 2, they introduced Felicia Hardy as Black Cat.
That's true.
Who is a very iconic Spider-Man universe figure. And
she's
female
been both,
hero and
she's
villain.
Been villain and hero, yeah.
That's something that they could do. I don't know how much they could do. I don't know.
Black Cat really can't swing around like Spider-Man.
She's not really. I don't see her.
Super thief, but that's the only thing that they've gotten. Unless your theory that Gwen Stacy comes back as Carnage is what happens, and that might happen in the Venom movie.
I feel like that would be offensive to bring back Peter Parker's greatest love as one of his greatest enemies.
Well, there's actually been some new rumors on that front. Now, as far as the return for Gwen Stacy, now there's people saying that she could be making a resurrection in the form of a clone, and that they could be doing the Clone Saga arc. Now, I don't know if you guys saw back in January, there was a viral site that had fake Daily Bugle, and they mentioned a new cloning class run by Miles Warren, who is also known as the Jackal, is a villain in the comic, and so what they're thinking now is that maybe we're going to have clone Gwen Stacy, and it would be interesting to see if Sony does something completely out of the box where they maybe even make her into a Spider-Woman-esque character.
Right, which I understand the idea of Emma Stone is a big sell for movie studios to be like, she's great, let's get more of her. But why would anyone clone Gwen Stacy?
Yeah,
that story seems absurd to me. At no point did she have anything to offer You know what I mean? Like, she had no father that owned a subway station. Like, unless her dad's secret
like
hideout.
a subway
like,
shop?
Yeah, well, like, like Peter Parker's dad in the movies lived in the same place the Ninja Turtles did in the second film, in Secret of the Ooze. They had the same hideout. It was a duplex, and he had one half of it.
Yeah. And he's always knocking on the door like,
can you guys keep it down? Oh, see what happens?
Chair. I hate these chairs.
This
is going to be driving me nuts.
Too much power.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's that's a lot of information to try to take in and try to decode. And
then if they do the whole clone saga, then does that mean that they're introducing like the Scarlet Spider into it? And that, like, are we going to have two Spider-Mans running around?
Yeah, I mean, last week we did talk about the possibility of Peter dying in the third Spider-Man film, and that could make way for, be a Miles Morales character, or maybe even a new Spider-Man altogether, which is, the Scarlet Spider was a clone of Peter Parker. So, I mean, it really opens up a can of worms for Sony.
Actually, curious question. Does Sony own the rights to Miles Morales?
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's Ultimate Universe, and that was created in the early 2000s after Marvel had already sold all their properties. Yeah. So that might actually belong to Marvel.
Or Fox, because Fox seems to be going in that route with Fantastic Four, which we'll talk about later. So
they seem to be going in the Ultimate Universe route. That's interesting.
They definitely are doing that.
Speaking of deaths, Thanos died, and can we pick him up, because I'm sure someone's watching, losing their mind.
Poor little Thanos.
Saying,
I was wondering what you guys kept poking at.
Yeah, we were trying to say the Mad Titan is asleep.
Mad Titan is down. The Infinity Gauntlet couldn't save him that time.
He's still sleepy.
Oh, poor little Thanos. He needs some Mountain Dew.
He's up now. Mountain Dew is the perfect drink to go with the Crunchwrap Supreme, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
Number 9 with the soft
and he's got. I've never noticed Thanos has quite the underbite.
Yeah.
He's
That's
a
why
bulldog.
he's mad.
Give me braces.
Maybe they'll just bring Thanos in for Spider-Man. I mean, I know it's far-fetched, and I know I keep pushing the Gwen Stacy angle, but I really feel there's been so much talk from Emma Stone and other fan sites saying that she is going to return in some capacity. Now, it could be flashbacks. It could be, one of the crazier theories I read was that they're going to actually cast her as Mary Jane Watson.
Which doesn't make...
I'm like, that's like a...
That'd be crazy. Yeah. I hate all of this. I don't like any of this idea. If they make Gwen Stacy Carnage, that's insane. That's just a waste of both characters. That doesn't make any sense to me.
It goes back to what we said a couple of weeks ago, where it's like, hey, who's that girl that all the fans like? What if we made her the villain?
Yeah.
Oh, and then they smoke their cigars. And, in Edge of Spider-Verse, they introduced like a parallel dimension Gwen Stacy, who is a spider girl, yeah. And it might be cool if they played something with that, because she was actually a cool character. Like, that was I really liked that.
Fans are loving it. I wouldn't be surprised. So we have New York Comic Con coming up this week. I wouldn't be surprised if we even hear more about an ongoing role of that Gwen Stacy.
Well, when I read the comic, I was like, I mean, this is perfect for a spin-off.
I know. It's amazing. Marvel's really setting some stuff up, and I know... there's been some issues with them and the other movie studios who own their properties, but I think they're really pushing forward with Spider-Man. But that being said, I don't know if Sony probably wouldn't have any claim on this Gwen Stacy as a Spider-Woman, at least in the Edge of Spider-Verse, but they could.
Well, and it seems like Sony and Marvel / Disney / Perlmutter have a better relationship. Like, they at least have a working relationship, whereas Fox and Disney just don't.
Yeah.
So maybe we can see a little bit more from Sony in that way.
Yeah, I guess I'm sure we'll know more next week, because it seems like every week there's a new bit of information about Gwen Stacy.
And with New York Comic Con coming up, there's going to be...
That's going to be a lot.
I think, we'll have a lot coming out. And then, this is just a really cute story I came across. So Spider fans in Great Britain set up a new Guinness World Record for the largest gathering of people dressed as Spider-Man. 398 people came out in their red and blue and spiderweb all-over suits for the event organized by Escapade Fancy Dressed at the Student Central in Britain. And proceeds from the event actually went to help for heroes and armed forces charities. So,
that's fantastic.
That's really cool.
It made me.
And you
really
have a
happy.
picture of that, right?
Yeah, it's up on the screen.
Great.
Yeah,
I love
for
that.
those of watching us on YouTube versus listening to us on.
Yeah. If you're listening to us on iTunes, you can imagine what that many Spider-Men look like.
Yeah.
Yes.
All the
Spider-Girls.
Spider-Mans.
Yeah. Spider-Man and Spider-Girl.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
That's his California ego. So we're gonna head over to Marvel Studios now, where we have news that Joaquin Phoenix is out of the running for Doctor Strange.
I know. After I went and watched The Master and tried to track down her, like, just to be sold on it. And then I was sold on it.
You should still watch her.
I should still watch her. I still haven't seen that. But I was totally sold on it. You convinced me that he was be good. Then I was sold on it, and then he's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm out."
I'm sorry, man.
It actually like
I asked him not to drop out, but he said I can't
he's
really
not,
get into what he said because he made me sign an NDA. But
no, well, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. A star of that size probably just walks around with him.
Yeah, he does.
Now, after that, we had Ethan Hawke was up for
a split second.
Yeah,
for
hot
a half second.
But to the point that outlets last weekend were reporting that he'd all but signed contracts over the weekend.
Well, I think that was mostly due to his working relationship with Derrickson.
Yeah, and now those reports are being dismissed by Hawke himself. In an interview with MTV, he said that while he would like to play Doctor Strange and reunite with director Scott Derrickson, no formal offer has been made. So what's the deal, Marvel? Because we have to pick a doctor soon. Photography is going to have to start on this film since it's coming out next year. So do you think this could actually spell out a delay for the Sorcerer Supreme, or do you think Marvel has something in their back pocket?
I don't think it's going to spell out a delay. And there was that tweet from Scott Derrickson saying that he's heading into Disney. What was that today, right?
Yeah.
Works on the Disney.
Yeah, work on the Disney lot now.
Yeah.
Which is great, and I think that means. I mean, seems obvious to me that means that they're going ahead with pre-production on Doctor Strange, which is cool.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's slated for 2015, so
no, I thought it was 2016.
Oh, okay.
2016. Yeah, May of
I don't have my
2016. No, Avengers is next year. Followed by Ant-Man.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then Doctor Strange is the first.
But still, they can't wait on this much longer.
Well, I mean, Ant-Man didn't lose any steam, and they lost their director that was attached for so long and all that. So I don't think Marvel has any intention of slowing down.
I mean, I'm sure they've got plenty of backup on it. Yeah.
Yeah, someone's going to jump in soon and have a lot of reading to do. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to be that.
And when they need to know what to read, they'll come to me.
That's right.
I am the Crunch Rep Sorcerer Supreme, apparently.
That's right.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it's unfortunate. I was glad to hear that it wasn't Ethan Hawke. I'm not a giant Ethan Hawke fan. I watched a couple episodes of Sherlock over the weekend, and I've seen all of them except for like the third season.
And now you hate him.
I don't hate him, but like I got so used to the idea of Joaquin Phoenix that now I'm looking at Benedict going, I don't know.
So who else? Not Joaquin, not Ethan Hawke, not Benedict Cumberbatch.
She suggested Pedro Pascal from Game of Thrones, right? Yeah. Which I think would be a good choice.
Yeah,
do you want to defend that at all? Or?
I mean, I think he looks the part. He's got enough charisma to carry it. He's at a nice age range.
Is that the Red Viper of Dawn?
Yeah, Dorn.
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 I thought it was the Red Viper of Dawn. I think he was up early.
Don.
But yeah, he's just got this presence about him, and I really feel he looks and feels the part for Doctor Strange. And I'd really like to see him more in a larger role because I really liked him in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I like that idea.
I also like the idea that it would be the guy who plays Littlefinger.
You mean Creepy Finger?
You mean Whispers?
No, Varys is the guy who whispers.
No, not the spy. I'm talking the guy who's always like this.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all the others.
All that stuff.
Sansa.
Yeah.
You've got a nickname for everyone.
I do.
You have a nickname. Have you noted like Days of Future Pasta? Then she's got Creepy Finger. Like she doesn't call anyone.
I actually have a really bad memory. I have holes in my brain, so I have to remind
so you just
blanks.
Yeah.
It's good. Creepy. He is creepy.
He is.
And he's creepy because he whispers
everything.
Sansa.
No,
Sansa.
I mean,
even in the Dark Knight movie, like he kind of whispered.
Yes. Yeah, that's what he does. Yeah. No, you are kind of the expert when it comes to Doctor Strange. I mean, that's saying it lightly. What do you think is going to be like the pivotal like piece for this film? Like who are they gonna cast? Because
I have no idea who they're gonna cast.
But in terms like they have to cast someone strong because. Tell us more about, like, I just want to know more about Doctor Strange. You sit here and talk about, I'm the biggest Doctor Strange fan all the time.
I'm not allowed to talk about it because Cook makes fun of it every time.
Okay, well, I
just fall asleep every time. I can't talk about it if I'm sleeping over here. Talking about you and his leggings and his blue booties and all that stuff. I get it.
Those are all magical
I gotta go to the
items.
bathroom anyway. Have a ball. Get out of here. I mean, what would you like to see in it?
Yeah.
Like, what about a Doctor Strange movie would be appealing?
So one of the things that I think is exciting is that Joaquin Phoenix said that he like didn't want to do all that CGI, which like to me is like, all right, they're on the right track. Like if you've ever read like any of the early like Ditko stuff, it's just like it's bonkers. He goes to all these wacky dimensions and fights all these wacky like Kirby-esque like creations, and it's so much fun, and it's I like his origin story. He was a surgeon, and so one of the things I like the most about him is he's a man of science, all of a sudden confronted with like science being thrown out the window and now like magic. You know,
how does that work?
Yeah, it'd be like a nuclear physicist or a mathematician all of a sudden being like, oh yeah, you know all that stuff you studied? That's great, but you can also just warp reality with the doodle of your fingers and saying hoary host of Hoggith. Like, what does that even mean? Like, what does that do to a guy's brain, you know? So like, I just love the character in that perspective, but then just like, he's the Deus Machina of Marvel. Like, he can come in and wiggle his fingers and I mean, he almost beat Hulk in World War Hulk.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of my favorite stories. Not World War Hulk, but just like the story of Doctor Strange's redemption to become the Sorcerer Supreme again. Like after, like he summoned, I believe it was either Satanish or Dormammu, and like summoned all this dark matter, dark energy into him, dark magic, and
to rival the strength of the Hulk.
To rival the Hulk, the strength of the Hulk, and then he realized what he was doing. He's like, I can't do this. And Hulk was like, cross hands. And he can't be the doctor.
Yeah, because you need to say things and move your hands in specific ways. There's all parts of spells and stuff.
You've got to be able to do this.
Yes.
Which is hard. That's hard to do with normal hands.
Yeah.
It's, well, in some cultures.
Very offensive.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
In Jersey, that's offensive.
It's very offensive.
I'm so sorry. But he explores all these wacky worlds, and he's got to be able to keep his concentration and focus and stand up in the face of demons, you know, like there's just so much like strength and power and that sort of weird, kind of thing. Yeah.
Like sci-fi fantasy hybrid.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. And that's where I live. That's like every single story that I've ever loved has been like, oh, it's sci-fi, it's fantasy, it's a little bit of both, you know, like, and he goes tripping through like all these wacky, you know, Kirby-esque Ditko sorts of planes, and it's like, what is going on?
It's definitely going to add an interesting dynamic to the Marvel films because we haven't had magic. Now we're having aliens. We have hard science and hard sci-fi, but the whole magic realm opens up a completely
even with Thor, like which is like a mystical sort of realm, but like, but let's describe it with science, which they did a great job with. And I thought personally,
and Asgard really is a very science-based, even though they are, you know, they have that mythical tie to old Norwegian. Gods, it is still very a science-based society, especially in the comic books.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting if they actually give us a Doctor Strange pseudo-origin story.
I think of all the characters in Marvel, outside of maybe Thor, Doctor Strange gives the biggest platform for a like truly epic, what in the world did we just see sort of movie. And that's what excites me about the character. Anytime I pick him up in a comic book, I'm like, oh my god! In the new Avengers run, oh my god! Like if you're not reading the new Avengers with the Illuminati and watching like the dark fall of all these amazing like characters, he summons like a Cthulian entity to destroy an entire planet, and the rest of the Avengers are going, wait, Doctor Strange did what? And I'm like, yeah, that's my boy. That's exactly.
That's how it's written. That's amazing.
No, that's how I said it. That's not what was said in the comics. I read the comic and was like, that's my boy.
Love it.
No, it's great.
So it's going to be a crazy ride.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy ride, and I can't wait to see.
And you got to have
what
somebody
they do
that can
with it.
sell that stuff too, which I think.
Yeah, I think that's
challenge.
That's the thing is like we're rambling. I'm sorry, I'm rambling about Doctor Strange. One more second.
It's all right. No, there's one dude who did want to hear it. It's all right.
Is that he's got to be like this really powerful voice, but still like very meditative and kind of relaxed, and like because it's a dude that does yoga with his Asian manservant Wong every day, but then he's also got to stand up to demons and be like, no, you know. So like he's got to have that like tension, and I think that's an interesting character to walk, and I think that's what Joaquin was drawn to.
They're big slippers to fill.
Yeah. Very big.
Some giant blue booties to fill.
It's gonna be awesome. Right. I'm excited for as much, you know.
As much as you make fun.
Yeah, I do. I hope they do it really well.
All right. Well, so last month reports that Jeremy Renner could be in as many as 7 more Marvel films.
Wait, I thought it was only 2.
Well,
7?
no, hold on. That was reports. that he could be after he made an offhand comment about his contract obligations with the studio. Well, Renner recently clarified that statement in an interview with the Daily Beast, saying that in addition to completing Avengers 2, he is only signed on for Avengers 3 and a possible Hawkeye spinoff, and that's if Marvel actually wants to go that route. So there has been no talk of a solo film or a TV series starring Hawkeye, and there's absolutely been no talk of Renner appearing in Captain America 3, which seems to have only room enough for one bird in that franchise. I do know fans of the character would probably like to see more of Hawkeye on the screen, but do you think Renner has what it takes to handle a solo film?
I think so. I think if they do it right, I think one of my favorite books that I've read in the last few years was Matt Fraction and David Aja's run on Hawkeye, which is amazing. What this shirt is from. It's great, and it's this very human take on this character that shoots bows and arrows and doesn't have a healing factor and has to rely on trick arrows and all these different gadgets and stuff. And he lives in a not nice apartment in New York, and has a hard time with the landlords who are kind of like griefing people, and they want to kick everybody out of the building so they can sell. Yeah, there's like the tracksuit mafia. It's awesome. I mean, it's great. It's funny. It's kind of dark. My favorite bit that he does is he beats this guy up, this bad guy, and he's like, "You're an Avenger, bro. You're not supposed to do this kind of stuff." And Hawkeye has this great bit where he kind of says, like, the thing about being an Avenger is you're around guys like Captain America, and Captain America makes you want to be better. He makes you want to do the right thing. He makes you want to be all that you can be. Look around. Captain America's not here.
Yeah.
Back off. You know what I mean? And then he shuts the door and the cab, and I was like, whoa! I love that idea of what he does in his off time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's even the beginning of the book. If you guys haven't read it, you should check it out. The artwork is some of my absolute favorite artwork I've ever come across.
They've got some really great frames in there. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And I think it is an exceptional direction for a spin-off movie or whatever to do. And I think Renner's a perfect fit for that. Tone.
Do you think he could do the tone, like that sort of like semi-comedic tone? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because never in the book is Hawkeye making jokes. You know what I mean? Like, he's not Deadpool, he's not Spider-Man, he's not making quips. He's in the middle of chaos and he's trying to find
just
his
coping with
bow,
it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's trying to do that stuff, and I think for sure Renner could do it. I like him a lot. And I think he's already has kind of established a similar tone, and I think they have maybe influenced each other in certain ways, the book and him, and vice versa. I don't know what the history is there, but I would love to see that stuff. I love that book, but I'd want those two guys. I'd want Fraction and Aja on board and being like, let's do this instead, because I think they're flawless.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I wasn't a giant fan of Fraction's Fantastic Four. Have to be.
I never read it, but
FF was fun.
Immortal Iron Fist.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Aja, the same creative team did the Immortal Iron Fist. I never cared about Iron Fist or Hawkeye until I read these two books. And then I was like, I love those dudes.
All it takes is the right writer.
Yeah.
And it's an
Who
amazing.
gets them.
Yeah. And I've been very anti-Hawkeye because of the films. I haven't really cared for Renner's characterization. And then reading Fraction's run on it has been a phenomenal read. I love it. I look for it every month that it comes out.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Iron Man 4, there's been no mention of it, but Robert Downey Jr.'s contract with Marvel is set to expire. There is one thing that could bring the star back. He said if Fred Mel Gibson directed the next Iron Man film, of course it was a joke, but Downey did say that the film would be bananas if it ever came about. In an interview with Deadline, he did admit that his role in the future Iron Man films is being talked about on a bunch of different levels, and he praised on Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige and the entire creative team, citing how Marvel keeps stepping up their game. Downey also admitted that he is starting to feel his age on set. After injuring his ankle during the filming of Iron Man 3, he wondered how much longevity he has as an action star. His future with Marvel hinges on, as what he said, whether it becomes a matter of at what point does he cease to be an asset to what Marvel is doing. So if we do get a new Iron Man, do you think they should bring in a new character entirely, as like War Machine, or pull a soap opera move and just recast Tony Stark?
I remember reading, like, I think somewhere like last year that Kevin, is it Feige? Is it Feige?
Yeah, Feige.
I've heard Feige.
Feige.
I've heard everything.
Yeah. Kevin.
I heard somebody call him Smith, and I was like, what?
That's not right.
No.
Let's call him Kevin Feige.
That's right.
Feige. Kevin Feige said that they see Iron Man more as like a legacy character, where like, you know, in the same way that multiple people have played Batman, and he and therefore Marvel Cinematic or Marvel Studios feels that more than one person could play Iron Man, even though Robert Downey is like the godfather of the Marvel universe and everything, and he would be really hard to replace. I think that's the direction they would take it. I think they would just try to, you know, and they did it with Bruce Banner. You know, they did it, you know, Ruffalo.
How many times?
Yeah.
I think it's totally doable. I think it's been done a million times in the comics. I mean, the comics have been around. How long's Iron Man been around? You know what I mean? And he's always been drawn and written by different people, but he always remains the same. And fans and readers can pick up and say, oh, this is still Iron Man. Yeah. Because he still looks and talks like Iron Man. And I think it's...
and his face will be hidden by the suit for... you know, a quarter of the movie.
Right.
So
that's true.
But it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I love Robert Downey. I think Robert Downey Jr. is responsible for the good movies that we have today. I think he's the one who raised the bar and demanded more of everybody, and I think that's awesome. But I'd still like to see who else could do. Like, I'd be interested to see who gets it next and what they do with it and what the new take on it is.
Who would they get?
I don't know, man.
We should.
I'm in no rush.
Yeah,
I'm in no rush.
Yeah.
I keep him around.
I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Hey, Schmoville, who else could play Iron Man? Let's just throw it out there.
If we were going to reboot Iron Man, who would you cast?
Yeah.
Also, fans can have a chance to ask Robert Downey Jr. himself, because he's doing an AMA on Reddit on Tuesday. That's the day we release at 12:30 Eastern.
Tomorrow?
Nice.
Tomorrow. Well, yeah. I think this usually gets released on Tuesday. So, but Tuesday, tomorrow times. Yeah. So you guys should go ask him. I'm going to.
Oh, good. No, I'll let you do it. I don't understand Reddit. It's a.
I'm learning.
It's a site that confuses, frightens and confuses me.
With the release just under a year away, fans are clamoring for any bit of news surrounding Avengers 2 Age of Ultron. Marvel is finally giving us a look at the much-anticipated sequel when they release the Guardians of the Galaxy Blu-ray next month. In addition to deleted scenes and a gag reel from Guardians, Marvel says fans can expect to see an exclusive look at the upcoming Avengers sequel. No word on exactly what that exclusive look will entail. We'll just have to wait until November 18th to find out. But we've seen concept art and some costume stills from the film. We even have a plot synopsis. We also know for the fans who were at San Diego Comic-Con were treated to a bit of a look at the Age of Ultron film. So do you think it's going to be the same footage rehashed from San Diego, or maybe a little bit extensive?
I think it'll mostly probably be a lot of the trailer that they released in San Diego. I don't know that the whole thing that they showed in San Diego was a trailer, because it seemed like they showed us about 4 minutes of footage.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. There was this really great part at the beginning where the Avengers were all trying to pick up Thor's hammer, and none of them could do it. And they were all using whatever powers they had, and Stark and Hawkeye were trying to pull it together. And I won't ruin any more of it, but then it went into like the Ultron bit, and I don't know that the trailer will have that part at the beginning, but it feels like they'd probably just maybe have the trailer on the Blu-ray, like, and it would probably be what was shown because it's already cut.
Well, and if it's true that we're going to get a trailer, Interstellar comes out, a week and a half prior to the Blu-ray release. So I mean, I would hope to think that they're going to have something a bit more than just what we're going to see at Interstellar, if that rumor's true.
I feel like it's an easy way to. I mean, Guardians Blu-ray is going to sell regardless, but that's just one more.
One more per.
Yeah, like. I don't know.
I'm already counting down the days for the beginning of December.
Hey,
I can't wait to buy it.
Me too.
Like, I want to watch it again. Like, I miss Guardians being in the theater.
Me too.
It was like a sweet little it was a blanket. Just knowing it was there that I could go watch it. It was great.
You should go find it in a dollar theater and go see it.
You think it's still out?
I bet we can
totally go do that. Yeah. We should totally. Let's make it a date.
I know. Let's make it a date. Be a man date with Meredith supervising.
A Matt date.
A Matt date. Aw.
I love it. Also,
guys, just in across the wires is Martin Donovan has been added to the cast of Marvel's Ant-Man, according to The Hollywood Reporter.
This just in.
For those of you who don't know, he was known primarily for his work in Weeds. He's appeared on Heroes and Brian Fuller's Hannibal. His role hasn't been disclosed yet, but sources close to The Hollywood Reporter say it is pivotal to the story. I know. We've got...
I have no idea. Like, we've already got Yellow Jacket. We've already got Hank Pym. We've already got Scott Lang. And
maybe he's going to be the Wasp.
Yeah.
I don't
mix it all up, baby.
I think like he may be pivotal to the story, but he'll probably be someone that's like he appeared in like one Scott Lang Ant-Man comic and like a Marvel premiere number like 20 or something like that.
Unless they're bringing in a secondary villain, that's the only thing I can see. doing. But the Yellow Jacket is such an essential villain to this storyline. I don't know what.
I can't. I mean, I just since we just heard about it, like I can't really like think about it, but like I have no idea.
Me either. I still feel like I know so little about the movie itself that like additional cast members, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, that sounds great.
I haven't read a whole lot of the original Scott Lang stuff, so and that's typically where they pull from. You know, like they kind of go deep and pull from the past a lot of times, at least for the main sort of story engine, but. I have no idea who he could be. Well, like, I think he's going to have, like, maybe 4 scenes and be, like, an office administrator. Like, he'll be, like, a secretary to Hank Pym who, like, knows more than he should.
Yeah, I think
that's my guess.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I enjoyed him, you know, on the shows I've seen him on TV, so it'll be nice to see him on the big screen, and hopefully it'll be a good story-driven. I don't know. We'll find out more, I'm sure. Yeah. Again, every week, some new speculation.
Just a little bit of things that we'll talk about at some point.
All right, well, we promised that we'd go over to Fox, and before we get to X-Men news, I've got some stuff from Fantastic Four. Most of the filming is now complete, actually, with Fantastic Four, but we still haven't seen a lot of visual details about the film. A couple months back, some photos leaked of a possible Doctor Doom or even a Doombot, and it was a very underwhelming costume. And now Fantastic Four star Michael B. Jordan confirms that the superheroes won't be wearing any of their spandex costumes. He says it's a new look. With an interview with ABC, we are all in containment suits. It's a gritty film. He also said of the script that it's grounded and relatable to everybody. So the film is going to be another origin story for these characters, which seem to share only the same names as their comic book counterparts. But Jordan does say that you really care and get to know the characters a lot through the film. In another interview with the Daily Beast, I know, yeah.
Is it seamless?
Is it? I know. It's he. You know, Jordan had in a completely another interview with the Daily Beast, he says that you feel like you're going to be discovering these characters at the same time they're discovering themselves. So it seems like we're getting we know we're getting a completely new cast. We know we're getting a completely new origin story for these established characters. We're not getting superhero suits. We are getting. I've seen other interviews referenced where it's like we're going to learn about their disabilities versus superpowers is kind of the phrasing that they're using.
What the disabilities that their superpowers create?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm hoping that was the quote that he meant. I mean, it was a quote.
Like Mr. Fantastic can stretch really far, but it takes him 30 minutes to reel his arm back in. Like, I don't want to watch that. It's like,
yeah. I mean, this all sounds like I like the people involved, but the whole like it's going to be gritty, it's going to be relatable, it's a story for the times. Sounds like Man of Steel to me.
Yeah,
which I hate.
It's like red flags.
Yeah,
red flags.
Which is like the idea of making these heroes like not heroes. I'm not a fan of that. And I don't know. I like the idea of containment suits. I think that's interesting. I don't know how you contain a rock body. Like, you know, I don't necessarily want to see the Thing not be the Thing. And,
yeah, I don't want to see like the Thing running around in an astronaut suit.
Right. Yeah. I know. I'm. It's
like he's like radioactive man or something.
I feel like it's all like keywords that they're throwing out there. It's like gritty, realistic, relatable,
seamless.
Yeah, like seamless. All that stuff. It like I already don't trust it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help me trust. Like, just to be told, like, you're going to really relate. It's like, well, it's a film, so I would hope so.
Yeah.
That's required.
But, I mean, I also related to the characters in Avengers, and I related to the characters in Guardians.
Yeah.
Like,
right. And
it's not grounding it and making it gritty. Like,
yeah. I don't know. It makes me nervous, and...
Oh, that makes me nervous.
It makes me nervous. I just don't understand. I mean, and I like the people involved, but I don't know. There's so little information, but they're already selling it so hard that I'm like, why?
It's almost like they don't trust it or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm completely with you on it. I feel like this is almost like the original Wolverine movie all over again, where we're getting something that they're like, yeah, we do want to make it completely relatable, as using the buzzword, to everyone out there, when sometimes we just want fun superhero movies. I mean, the first Fantastic Four films weren't the best, but they were fun.
Ish. If you could look past how bad they were.
I mean, at least I understood the tone they were going with it.
But see, I think there's a way to do both. I think Guardians was fun and relatable and gritty and all that stuff, and it was all the things you want in a movie. I think it's possible to make good films with superheroes, and I think we've seen it done before. Yeah. So I think to go on record and like really sell how relatable this is going to, it's like, that seems misdirected. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I think that Fox is trying to own it. like, and separate it from Marvel. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like they're trying to say, hey, we own the film rights, so we're going to make it our own, own thing.
And my point as a fan, as a film goer, is like, well, I've seen what you've done already.
Yeah.
So you have a lot to prove.
Yeah.
Stop telling me the stuff you've already told me on the movies I didn't like that you did.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust you anymore.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree, man. I totally agree.
And this is interesting. It came to light this weekend that the Fantastic Four comic, which is in the 600 issues, is being canceled in January.
Yeah.
And there's been
a
no
giant
talk.
like three
three-part
like triple sized issue.
It's a huge issue, and there's been no talk of what's going to replace it. Also, in the comic world, Marvel's about ready to kill off Wolverine, and in which Axel Alonso, the head of the comic department, said that there's no plans on bringing him back anytime soon. Like, fans are going to have to deal with a Wolverine-free universe. And it almost seems like, in a way, Marvel is retaliating to Fox by taking away these characters.
I think that's exactly what it is. I really do.
Which, to me, though, feels like people then get hungry for those characters still. Like, any Wolverine fan is going to want new Wolverine stuff, so it might make it easier to sell tickets to the movies.
Yeah, because at least they're getting Wolverine then.
Counterproductive. But, I mean, yeah, it definitely feels like, all right, you want to keep those rights? Have them.
Yeah,
That's all you get. You don't get any comics attributed to it.
And it doesn't make any sense. I mean, that doesn't make for a good business model. And even on Comic Book Resources, Tom Brevoort, who's big in Marvel on their back end side, said, like, why would we do something that seems so counterproductive to our business?
Right.
I'm paraphrasing. So I don't know if that's necessarily what Marvel's doing, but they probably do want to change things up. And maybe they're either going to try to ride on Fox's, popularity with the films and change things to be more diverse in the comics, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It could go. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, over in the X-Men world, in an interview, James Marsden, if he has his way, his Best of Me co-star Luke Bracey would be the next in line to play Cyclops in the X-Men films. He spoke with Yahoo Movies, and Marsden joked that it would be great to see if Bracey took over as a young Cyclops. He did go on to say that he has no idea what's happening with the X-Men Apocalypse casting, and that everything at this point is simply speculation. Though it'd be, it's nice to kind of see that he has some faith in letting that character continue on in another capacity, without him, because he did kind of just up and leave in X3 to go be in Superman.
Yeah.
So
I'm not familiar with the actor's work, but I did look up a picture of him, and he could be Cyclops.
Yeah.
He could be Cyclops. I could see that.
You really just kind of need your generic Boy Scout guy to be a Cyclops. So I think it would be nice.
One of the fans in Schmoville, I apologize, I forgot to write your name down, but he suggested Asa Butterfield from the Ender's Game movie, which I think he could, if they go that young, I think he could pull it off pretty well.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on what storyline they're doing for Apocalypse, because it really does seem like they're not going to be doing the original Age of Apocalypse storyline. They might be doing a more modern take. In an interview with Collider, co-writer and producer Simon Kinberg told fans that while Apocalypse is going to be the end of the First Class arc, it is by no means the end for these characters. Of the Apocalypse film itself, Kinberg said, "The friendships between Eric and Charles, which have always been so integral to the franchise, is something we're continuing to explore and hopefully deepen with Apocalypse. And the relationship between Beast and Mystique is a really interesting one that we didn't have time to explore in Days of Future Past. So we'll have an opportunity to do more of that in Apocalypse." He also went on to say that you can expect to see a lot more out of Mystique's character in the next film.
Blech.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, like, it's Jennifer Lawrence who's great and all that stuff.
She's great.
But, like, the idea that Mystique has become, like, the central part of an X-Men universe is, like, so crazy.
So weird. It's so, like, when did we get rid of the actual X-Men?
Right.
Like, where did they act? Like, it's not X-Men anymore. Yeah. Like, it's like, oh yeah, Cyclops was an X-Man, wasn't he? Yeah, okay, sure.
Make him a baby.
Make him a baby.
Put glasses on that baby and we'll push him
like,
in
where
front
did
of
Bobby
Apocalypse.
Drake and Worthington, like...
Well,
it's very disappointing. I'm very disappointed.
So here's the thing, that because they do kind of want to close up the First Class arc, bringing in Apocalypse, we can do some time jumping, we can do some alternate universe stuff. Warren Worthington, who is Angel, actually becomes one of the horsemen of Apocalypse.
Archangel,
So we can start to see
X-Factor number 8, I think.
Yeah,
we can start to see some of them bringing in those old characters and rebooting the entire universe. So I feel that we might get that out of an Apocalypse film, where it's gonna maybe, who knows, maybe even just close that universe off and start a new one, or maybe we're going to see the launch of what we know as First Class in the 80s, which would make sense for the timeline of the films.
I would very much like a story. Like, I would like a story about characters that I care about.
Yeah.
I don't need to see another film where they jump time and fix things and make things make sense and all of a sudden. But to me, X-Men have always been my favorite. Like, that's it. And because they're this family that was put together by fate and all this stuff, and they have to live together, they have to help each other, they don't always get along, and it's a family story. It's important that way, you know? And they're misfits, and they're feared and hated by a world that misunderstands them and all that other stuff. Like, it's important, I think, to not get too big with this stuff. Like I think a good superhero story is like a delicious cake.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the actual cake is the character. And that has to be good.
Yeah.
It has to be tasty. The icing is the superpowers.
Yeah.
And then you have too much icing, you get sick.
Yeah.
The cake is not good. It doesn't matter how much icing you have, it's no good.
Yeah.
I feel like people are doing a lot of icing.
That's a beautiful analogy.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I approve.
Thanks. Yeah. That's my take.
Well, and that's also all we have.
That's all we got time for.
Yeah, so thank you guys for joining us for another issue of Marvel News from Marvel fans. And remember, you can get the latest news throughout the week by visiting us on our homepage at www.schmoesknow.com. You can find me on Twitter at mplaco.
I'm at the Matt Key.
At Matt Cook Tweeted.
And we will see you all next week.
Yeah, go get some cake.
Bye-bye, Schmoville.
From producers Christian Harloff, Mark Ellis, and the entire Schmoes Know Network crew, we would like to thank you for listening to Marvel News from Marvel fans. Special thanks to Kevin Undergaro and Maria Menounos, the author of Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, in stores now, as well as the entire AfterBuzz TV Network crew. To watch or listen to other Schmoes episodes, get movie news, and join the conversation, be sure to visit schmoesknow.com and subscribe, rate, and review to this show on iTunes. I'm the Pit Boss, and this has been a presentation of Schmoes Know.